look, I can't help but think that now might be a good time for a little fire and ice. Please
Oh,
do not know.
there's never a good time for fire and ice.
What happens when you mix fire and ice?
Warm water, baby.
It's bubbling, baby. Warm water. Warm water.
We are live over here at Sunland Park Mall, in the parking lot of Sunland Park Mall at Union Draft House, 730 Sunland Park Drive. Mike Tipton, Brandon the Iceman Cohen. We got our guy Daver hanging out with us a little bit later. We're going to have Shana McKnight from the Sun City Stealth joining us as well, so we can talk about what she's doing, some really cool things that she's doing with the WFA and the WFA International as well. For those of you that don't remember, last year with the Sun City Stealth, they actually brought in 3 players from Egypt. Egypt was their, I guess, partner internationally. So they had 3 Egyptian players here, sent 3 players over to Egypt to play football and teach football as well, Brandon. So that's a pretty cool thing that the WFA and the Sun City Stealth are doing as well. Of course, whenever we come out here to Sunland Park Mall, I've got to try to maintain my 100 beers. I'm on beer number 3, and it seems like a gauntlet right now, Brandon.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I know you got through a few last week, and I think you do a few more this week. And I know the last one you got to last week was Guinness.
No.
And was it Guinness or was it the one after that?
So the first one was the Nitro,
Okay.
right?
It was like a
Then
coffee. Like
Guinness was number 2,
okay.
which, I, like, whenever I was younger, I used to love Guinness.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
nowadays
know what
it's a different
happened.
story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's true.
At least it was number 2, though, and you got it over with.
Yeah. And then number 3 was the rocket fuel. So no more Guinness on that. I want to see what number 4 is. So we're going to try to do number 4 through 6 today.
Okay.
We'll see if maybe I get up to 7. We'll see how lubricated I have to be to get through the rest of my Saturday.
You'll be rather lubricated.
And then later on today, I got Bob, Jim, and Pat getting drunk on the internet. It's going to be
nice.
hell of a day for your boy. We'll see if I survive as we enter our first weekend of spring break.
Yeah, we made it, huh?
Getting
How do you like
into
that?
all of the fun stuff and fun shenanigans. Brandon, I know you're going to be going out of town.
Yes, the next Saturday I'll be going to Chicago to hang out with the family for about 9 days, and so certainly looking forward to that. I've been there since November, and always enjoy Chi-Town. A little chilly in March usually, but certainly hopefully going to catch a Bulls game and have a good time over there. Always look forward to it.
See, I'm going to Austin. I'm going to go to San Antonio as well.
When are you leaving?
I am leaving Wednesday.
I thought so. Okay.
After we have our Grease, our Nosh, our multiple names that your people have for
we mean
a
your
meal.
people. What do you mean you people? Yes, there's a lot of.
You're the Jewish representation.
Yes, I am. I certainly am. And yes, so we're going to get a Grease, a Nosh. We have a reservation for Tuesday. I can't wait. And I like the way you're staying in town just so we could do that. And then you're going to head out and go on your little mini spring break vacation.
Yes. But what I want to do is I want to go to San Antonio. I want to see if I can get a Spurs game in because they're so bad now, Brandon, that
tickets for $10.
Yeah. I mean, they might be super cheap tickets and they might be down in the bowl.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Right? I'm not used to this as a Spurs fan.
Are they going to be in town when you're there? Did you check?
I haven't checked yet. Like, It was something that, like, a harebrained idea I thought of as I was driving up here.
Of an idea, man.
Thinking about, because you know how I am, right? I love basketball.
Oh, yeah. You'll go to any.
I hate bad basketball when I watch it on TV because it gets annoying. But in person, whenever you're watching bad basketball, it is fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I enjoy going to UTEP games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, I know they're playing right now.
So,
noon game.
Daver had a loaded question for us. I'm going to turn the mic over to him real quick so he can ask that.
What things must UTEP do to improve the record of the men's basketball team? Take it away.
Well, I'd say a little
first?
I'll take this one first. A little bit of everything. I mean, but to be more specific, it goes without saying that when you break down the simple fundamentals, they go a long way. And clearly, free throw shooting has been a bit of an issue. I think shooting in general has been a bit of an issue. I also think their inability to maintain leads, to hang in there in certain games, and really get outplayed down the stretch has been one of their big Achilles heel this year. And honestly, I mean, I love Coach Golding. He's a good guy, but I feel that there's been times where he has been outcoached this year. And let's face it, I mean, look, It's only his second year with the program, and there's growing pains like anywhere else, and it takes a while to make a program truly yours. And I do think Golding is a good coach. With that being said, I don't think the conference, although be it it's not a good conference, is going to get any more simplistic, especially with the news of maybe bless you, CUSA and WAC, kind of collaboration. So I think things are about to get a little more challenging for UTEP, as if it hasn't been easy enough, and they haven't done jack squat in the last who knows how many years, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing that I cautioned to people, and I actually found the tweet. It happened in November of 2020, whenever we were going to announce that they were going to get a new coach, doing all the stuff that UTEP was doing. And everyone's thing was, oh, my God, this guy, had an upset win in the NCAA tournament with Abilene Christian University, and he's going to come here and change the culture at UTEP. It's going to be automatic.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal.
And the very first thing I said was, we got to give this guy at least 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you got to get your recruiting classes in. It's the same thing I said about Dana DeMille and, every coach with this, because I hate having the coaching carousel.
Sure.
That inconsistency is what adds to a lot of, inability to win games. Right. Let's look at the Cleveland Browns. If you want to look at it in the professional aspect, let's look at the Houston Texans. This was a team a decade ago that we were like, man, they're on the brink of doing some amazing things.
Yes.
And now the Houston Texans are an absolute dumpster fire. That is not a good team at all. The same thing with the Browns, right? Like, they had their moments where they had little peaks, but for the majority of that, 20 years that the Browns have been back, they've been absolute dog shit. And it's not even funny to think about it whenever you look at it from that aspect, right? Why? Because of a coaching carousel. We don't have a lot of consistencies. We don't have, a good enough record to keep things going. And the second things get hard, we fire the coach, right?
And that's
how many coaches have the Houston Texans had in the last 3 years? 3.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been, and really, Lovie Smith, to me, I know he's got his great times and his mediocre times as a head coach. Clearly, the best run he had was with the Bears. But, I mean, I don't think they gave him long enough, ultimately. I think they really cut his tenure awful short. And it's like, what do you do when you go for 2 and lose the number 1 pick? Well, we fire you. Yeah. That doesn't show you that you're playing to lose.
Everything I heard, he was fired before the game started.
Probably.
And that's the reason why that's his middle fingers to the Houston Texans franchise of, okay, well, you wanted me to come in here and lose games for you.
No, screw you.
Well, we're making the seems with the number 2 overall pick.
Now you're going to have to move up with the Bears to get that number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, but we're making it seem as if that's bad. Like, it's like, I sincerely doubt the Bears are going to take a quarterback at the number 1
Well,
pick.
the Bears aren't going to keep the number 1 pick. The Bears are going to cash in and get several players for the number 1 pick. And ultimately, Houston needs that pick a hell of a lot more than they do. And obviously, Chicago's trying to build around Justin Fields and actually build a halfway decent team. So,
yeah. But going back to, the question at hand, UTEP, how can UTEP get better? Honestly, it's just patience, right? Like it's making sure that this team has sustained improvement whenever it comes to games. I said the same thing about the football team, right? The first year that Dana DeMille was here, they're getting blown out by 28.
They were crap still.
The next year, they're losing by an average of about 9 points, which ain't great, right? And then their losses over the last few years have been on average about 5 to 4
But
points.
he still had Kugler's team, though.
Yeah.
People can't forget that. And those teams weren't great down the stretch.
So Golding doesn't have a full roster of people that he has brought in just yet.
Good point.
The transfer portal with the NCAA is always just playing a game of Russian roulette. They've got to get that thing fixed in the future, because there's no way the NCAA is going to be able to sustain this.
Sure.
Tom Izzo was on a podcast yesterday, and I'm listening to him talk about how much he hates the NCAA NIL, not because it takes players away, but because it gives players an out, right? Like it gives them an out. Like, as soon as it gets tough, we're out.
Quit.
And and it's like, okay, I understand, but like, fight through it, right?
They don't do that anymore. There's no fighting through anything. It's all BS.
But what is that like? What's the example that gets set with that whenever they go forward in life, right? Like that's what Tom Izzo's looking at. Like, you're going to quit all the time it gets hard.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't. But I mean that's the biggest problem is the transfer portal makes it easier than ever to kind of you don't like the way you're being treated. Oh, you don't like the way things are going for you. Oh, you're not getting enough minutes. Oh, you're not meshing with this person. You're not going to continue to try to make things better. You are going somewhere else, maybe for a year, maybe for the rest of your collegiate career. Who knows? But really, more than anything else, to me, you could look at it as a double-edged sword, okay? Obviously, it's bad because there's no loyalty anymore, and ultimately, it's a situation where it's hard to build a consistently winning program unless you're one of the big boys, one of the blue bloods, whatnot, okay? Then you're going to have a winning program every year, more than likely. But and you certainly look from a positive standpoint. You say, well, I mean, it also gives other teams that normally wouldn't have a shot at some of these guys, mid-majors, teams that aren't, in the biggest conferences, a better chance at getting some of these better players because maybe they'll go there because they will get more minutes. So it is a bit of a double-edged sword. It isn't the worst thing in the world, but certainly hasn't done the best for college basketball and football ultimately right now.
I mean, yeah, and that's the big deal, right? It's like now every team has to learn how to navigate the waters of the transfer portal. Every team has to learn how to navigate the waters of NIL.
Even the good teams.
Yeah. I mean, look at Duke. Duke is normally like one of the better teams. They lose Coach K, and now
no
all
one
of a
wants
sudden,
to play for this new dude, and it's like starting from scratch on, right?
Exactly,
one,
right?
So
UTEP, like, unfortunately, and it doesn't sound like an answer, but you got to have patience there.
Absolutely.
Golding has to be able to establish his brand that he wants to play with his players.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't a fluke that they did beat Texas, especially with a team like ACU. So if he could do that with a team like them, really, who plays in a lot more obscurity than UTEP does, it's hard to believe it, but yes, that's true. Then, you could certainly do some good things. Now, after year 4, if you have no postseason runs, and if you haven't done much of squat and you're still winning less than 20 games a year, then you really have to sit down and look at it and say, well, I don't know if this is working out.
Why is 20 games always your barometer?
Because 20 games at least plus will hopefully at least get you some sort of postseason play. I mean, I don't know. Even a BS tournament, right?
But this is the thing to me, right? Like,
you play 30 games. Shouldn't you at least win 20?
Okay, so
That'd be nice.
2/3 of your games is what you should win, right? You should have a batting
average. Should you lose more than 10
6,
games
67.
in a year?
I mean,
it's a lot, man.
But my thing is okay. Conference USA is weak. Whatever the future of Conference USA / the WAC / whatever it's going to wind up being is also going to be pretty weak. Get into that tournament and hopefully win that tournament. That's all you can hope for. You're not going to get.
It's still a 1-bid lead.
Yeah,
no
it'll
doubt.
always
It's still 1 bid.
It'll always be. So you have to win your conference.
No doubt.
The thing would be, even with the 20-win UTEP team or anything like that, are we going to care about them going to the NIT?
No.
Are we going to care about them going to the CBA
yes
or whatever it is?
Yes and no, because fans in this town are starving for any sort of postseason tournaments. And they've proven in the past, men or women, when they do make like the NIT or the CBI or whatever, that they will at least support it and be happy that their program is in there, because usually they're not in any damn postseason tournaments.
And the best historical episode of this is go back to when we were Texas Western with Don Haskins at the helm. And he basically said people in El Paso want one thing: winning.
That's right. That's it.
It also meant that his method of coaching was one of consistencies. You may not like some of the barbs I might say at you while you're on the field, and you may not like how hard I work you, but I'm going to be consistent with you. Maybe some of the old school coaching also has to be applied.
Tom Izzo said something yesterday on that podcast that kind of got me as well. He said that you can't say that a player is bad without worrying about being sued by their lawyer.
And how crappy is that? How ridiculous is that nowadays? And you know what? I will say, though, I will say the reason why I don't like the way things have changed, though, more than ever, is because you remember as well as I do when UTEP, I think it was, I want to say 04 or 03, made it as an at-large bid. That was the year where they won like 25 games. That was like the biggest turnaround in college history when Gillespie was still there. And they went on and ended up playing Maryland in the first round. That's when the WAC would still get maybe an at-large. And that's how much things have changed in the last 20 years, college. You know what I mean?
Well, that's also before, and like, I'm not going to say like college sports hasn't always been a money game and a money grab, right? But that's before it was so much more blatant in front of us. What's going to get you more ratings in the NCAA tournament? The 8th place ACC team, which has a huge following, or UTEP?
Yeah, no.
And it's going to be, and that's the reason why
that's money talks, man.
Yeah, and that's why the at-large bids have kind of gone away whenever it comes to the mid-major conferences and everything of that nature, right? So, like, you've got to win. You got to have these one-and-dones. I want to answer a basketball question real quick. Stephen Metaludis asking, since the Warriors have won 5 in a row, will they beat the Lakers tomorrow, yes or no? No LeBron James?
Yes.
No problem.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. I mean, LeBron's not there. The Lakers were starting to gel a little bit. Then LeBron's out for, at least a couple of weeks, and AD's doing what AD does, and that's get injured usually. So, LA looks like they have some issues here down the stretch run. And yeah, I think the Warriors will win that game. I agree.
Anthony Davis was born. The doctor spanked him, and he went on the injured list for 5 weeks.
Ow, my tuchus. I love you. You're a funny man.
He's been butthurt ever since.
Anyway,
going back over to UTEP, going with college athletics, right? Like that's the change that we have to see. That's the waters that we have to try to navigate. Would be looking at how these teams navigate the transfer portal, because that's created such a major wild card now, especially allowing players like, I get it. I understood it. I've always, kind of thought of this as well, is why is it okay for a coach to transfer schools, not have any penalty? But whenever a player does, they're penalized. They've got a bunch of issues, blah, 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 right? Now UTEP is in a level playing field with everyone else. And now it's all about money. So now the next big thing comes to, what donors does UTEP have that'll actually, front money forward and try to say, look, this player needs to come here. We're going to do all we can to get this player here and change our fortunes. Because unfortunately, the only way that UTEP is going to get better is if they get on the national spotlight, they make some noise, and other teams want to come, or other, young players want to come here and play for this team.
And UTEP has some big donors. UTEP has some deep pocket donors. There's no doubt. We know that some of these facilities that have been built in the last 15, 20 years have been thanks to those big donors, the friends of the program. And if you are naive enough to not believe that friends of the program lead to players coming to certain programs, then you are a moron. I hate to be so blunt, but it's true. I mean, come on now. Money talks. You're the one that said it, and you're absolutely right about that.
Money will always talk.
It always has and always will. And in the end, the programs are so good every year because they have deep pockets. It's not, hey, I want to come to a prestigious program, no doubt. But it's also, hey, what can you offer me, man, that this other guy in this other program isn't going to offer me? And that's when it comes down to the shekels. Yes. Honestly,
it sounds like the premise of the movie The Blind Side.
I love that movie.
Never seen it.
You haven't? Of course not. It's a sports movie, though.
I know, right?
So why wouldn't you have seen it? You like sports movies. We had this conversation on, I think it was Wednesday night, about movies. We always do, though, you and I.
Yeah, we talk about movies and all kinds of stuff. You mentioned movies I've never seen. David, would you be surprised that I haven't seen a bunch of movies?
Well, I mean,
life gets us very busy. I can understand.
Well, not only that, but you gave me the best story about why you haven't seen movies, and I'm like, okay, I guess I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up.
Me the family story.
Yeah, I grew up super country. We didn't have.
I'm a little bit country.
Like I'm not a little bit. I'm a lot of bit country, man.
If you want to see Sandra Bullock as a cheerleader, Blindside's the movie to see.
That's a good movie. Actually,
that's a selling point.
Yeah. She's still very pretty, but back then it's like, oh my God.
I love when the character of Sandra Bullock's son said, everybody's an athlete. My mom is just a cheerleader, but she considers herself an athlete, but don't mention that to her when he's talking to their adopted brother.
I mean, sometimes not everyone could be an athlete. I know I'm no longer athletic. I don't think I've ever really been athletic. So I hope that answers your question a little bit, David, whenever it comes down to.
And it gave me a lot of detail and perspective, and how it may have actually been easier in Don Haskins' day to coach the way that he did, because that's how the game was.
Yeah, I mean.
And he didn't have to negotiate for players because he was doing something so revolutionary by how he integrated his team. Nobody had ever heard of it. He had to walk outside of the box and have people do this kind of recruiting.
But people need not forget that Haskins had a lot of great connections, with Floyd and Coach Bradford. They had those Chicago connections. They had, that's where Timmy was Hardaway was recruited, was in Chi-Town. That was all Coach Bradford, who ended up going to NMSU in later years. But, those NCAA tournament bursts and their dominance of the 80s was no fluke. It was already a known program.
Are you saying that UTEP's connections today
aren't as strong as they used to be?
Bingo.
There's no doubt they're not as strong as. I don't care what Golding brought to the table. He's a great, he's a nice guy. Hopefully, potentially a great coach, but you don't have those connections you used to have. That's the bottom line.
And not just that, like whenever you were recruiting in the 80s and 90s, you were still close enough to that, historic 1967 championship team. Whenever you start looking, or 1966 rather, whenever you start looking at, the historical significance games that they always put out these lists, right? That that UTEP championship, that Texas Western championship starts creeping lower and lower on that list simply because we're going farther and farther away. Right now, we're over half a century away from it, creeping up on 60 years removed from whenever it happened.
About how long it's been since they've won a game in the tournament? That adds legitimacy too.
Yeah, 1992.
That's freaking a lifetime ago, man. That's 30 years ago, right?
Wow.
That's 31 years, is it not? I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I think it is.
As someone that just turned 39 years old, that makes me feel super old. But I was
yeah,
around
I mean,
at that
me
time.
too,
Oh
because I was like in middle school the last time that happened.
So,
I mean,
so this is what it was like. This is like how Dallas Cowboys fans feel, huh?
I mean, because let's face it, that helps aid recruiting too.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, hey, we won a game in a tournament last year. Well, we won a game in a tournament 31 years ago. It's like, geez, are you serious?
And that's like, yeah, I mean, that's especially the thing, right? And that's why I said, get on TV, make some noise, get people interested in your program, show these young kids things. The other thing that I always said is kind of go the Rutgers route, right? You're always going to be on national TV because you're, promoting other schools while you're getting your ass kicked.
Sure.
At least you might get those one kids and be like, you know what, I want to go to that school and give them a shot.
Yeah.
Because we do that, right? Like we inherently root for the underdog. We want to see the loser team wind up making good and do something great, but not too much, because then we turn on you like you're Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
But as far as UTEP basketball goes, like it's the same with football. You've got to be patient. The donors have to be willing to put money forward, and the fans have to actually temper their expectations. You cannot look at UTEP any athletics and say this is going to be a team that's going to contend for a national championship. You just can't do that. And it's so unfair to put that on the student athletes. It's so unfair to put that on coaching staffs. That's the barometer you have to meet. Is Don Haskins?
Yeah, no kidding.
That's an unfair,
over 700 career wins.
Yeah, that's an unfair pressure to put on those coaches. But it seems like you got these UTEP fans out here who are just constantly
unrealistic expectations.
This is a team that needs to go to the NCAA tournament. It's a first-year, second-year coach.
Yeah,
it takes time. How long was Haskins a coach at UTEP before he did anything?
Like a year.
No.
Yeah, he was. I think 65. I believe was his first year.
His first year was 62.
Was it 62?
Yes.
I thought it was like 64.
No, his first year was 62.
Are you sure about that?
He was there for 4 years before UTEP started making some noise. And it's the same thing with Tom Landry. Tom Landry was winless in his very first year as a Dallas Cowboys coach. Winless in his very first year as a Dallas Cowboys. I don't think he had a winning record until like 1965. So 5 years of mediocrity and like 0 wins for the Cowboys.
SOB, you know that?
Oh yeah,
he was 61. It says was his first year. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
so
no,
it's
no.
further
I'll give you that. Good job, man. I mean, that's
But you see, that's what I'm
64,
saying. Like,
but
it takes time.
Of
All
course
this
it
stuff
does.
takes time. Like yes, I get it. We're so used to instant gratification and all that stuff. But whenever
people have a
down
lot
to
less
this-
patience this year. You know, I mean, nowadays, you know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the
Dak
thing
Prescott was great last year, and all of a sudden this year he's a schmuck with a putz. Is that what it is?
Putts, both.
He's a
Schmuck
schmucky
and a
putz.
putz, yeah. I mean, I guess if you could be both, he definitely is. You know what I mean? Especially the way he ended up rebounding and then going back to being a schmuck. But yeah, I mean, and the thing is that you know what? I will say this with great certainty is that, you know, it's a situation where if you expect to win as a UTEP fan, you need to like kind of check yourself a little. And I hate to say it, but it's true, because in the end, you know, if you actually do make postseason play, you should look at it as a plus. That's the situation is, hey, I made some, we're going to have this young lady on. That's great. That's phenomenal. Ariana?
Oh, yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so we have Ariana here. She has been our waitress before here at Union Draft House. She brought out beer number 4. I don't know what it is. Can you tell me what beer number 4 is?
Yes, it is the Rogue Chocolate Nitro.
Ooh, chocolate.
Ooh,
nice chocolate.
the Rogue
Oh.
Chocolate
So it
Nitro.
reminds me of number 1, but a little chocolate taste.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I like that coffee and chocolate together.
Yeah.
See,
Pretty
I'm
much.
becoming a beer connoisseur too.
look at you. Look at you. So
Look
what's
at him.
what's the significance of it though? Like why am I caring about beer number 4? Tell me about the 100 beer challenge that y'all have.
So the number 4, I guess it just has like that separate chocolate taste to it.
Mhm.
Oh, my bad. It just it has that separate chocolate taste to it compared to the number 1, which is the Left Hand Nitro Stout. But yeah, so our 100 beer challenge is pretty much you get a little card, and it's called the Century Club member little card.
Show the card.
So yes,
There it is.
it's that
He's
one.
on number 4, I believe.
Oh, nice. Oh, so you guys are going like in.
Well, he
Yeah.
is.
I am.
Oh,
He's the
okay.
beer
Yeah,
connoisseur. of this
we'll,
guy.
we'll
okay.
see how
I'm
this
just
goes.
learning about all of them.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty much it goes from 1 through 100, and every time you come in, you order number, say, 43 or number 99 or number 1, and as soon as you get every, like, 1 through 100 punch, then you get 10% off every time you come in.
And he's going to do it, this guy.
Oh yeah,
He will do it.
Shit, I might finish that up today.
I believe it. I believe it.
Fred can drink like a fish.
Okay, so if you may tell us about some of the specials that y'all have this weekend.
Okay, so this weekend, every weekend we have our $2 build your own pizza. So it's pretty much a $2 cheese pizza, and then depending on the toppings that you get, it just goes up on the prices. So say pepperoni is like $1, brisket is $10. It just really depends on what toppings you get. And then Saturdays we have our sours and ciders for $4, and then Sundays we have our $20 mimosa pitchers.
$20 mimosa pitcher.
But enjoy that.
Moment.
Yeah. Let me be a white girl for a little bit, Brandon.
A white girl for a second.
I love that movie, White Chicks. Remember? I'm gonna write a letter. Let me guess, you haven't seen it either.
Easy white chocolate. Easy. Okay, Ariana, thank you so much. Thank you for that information. I appreciate the beer. What was number 4 one more time?
It was the Rogue Chocolate Nitro.
Rogue Chocolate Nitro.
Thank you, Ariana.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you.
Of course, enjoy.
That was so cool, Tim. I'm learning about all these beers.
All the different beers that we have.
It's stuck.
Growing, doing all of the.
It's stuck. Such butts. Okay, here you go.
There's so many jokes and so little time when it comes to the things I can say about Brandon, the nice man cone.
The nice man. That's a good one.
I love how his demeanor changes anytime an attractive woman comes onto the show. Brandon
That's
becomes
not
a
true, Destiny.
different
Don't
guy.
you sit there and give me that look. I don't become like a mensch all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're always a
Come
mensch,
on.
but you're a little more of a mensch.
Well, do you have any Grey Poupon by any chance?
No, I wouldn't say you're that proper.
No. I'm like, I become like polite. You know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
I'm being asked if I'm a big fan of the Vegas Golden Knights. I am. As a matter of fact, yesterday we went out to watch the El Paso Rhinos in action over at the County Coliseum. It was a fun time out there. They ultimately didn't get the win. I have been admittedly out of hockey and out of anything going on.
crowd.
It was a good crowd.
Yeah, it always is. They
But
have
for a
loyal
team
following.
that has played 46 games to have scored 30 goals, kind of underachiever.
They're definitely offensively challenged this year.
Yeah, it's been a little different.
And I
this
know
year.
it's a different league now. It used to be the Western States Hockey League, and Coach Herman is not there. He's there, but he's not there. He's not coaching them anymore. So I mean, you know, it's. I mean, I haven't been to a game in a while, but anytime I did go, it was always fun.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm trying to get out there more and more often.
Season ends this month or next month?
Next month.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way it's looking right now, I mean, they'd have to have a miracle happen for them to get to any postseason action. So I'm gonna try to get as many wins in there or as many games in there.
Did you get a
as I
nosh? Little grease over there?
I mean, we had a hot dog, we had some nachos,
Good
but we
food?
didn't
Good
have
food over there?
you know, typical stadium
food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not as good, not nearly as good, I should say,
As
what we got to experience this past
good transition.
Wednesday
I love it. You're sharp as a
over
rock.
in the Southwest University Park. Big shout out to our friend Angela Olivas.
We love Ange.
She's been on multiple shows of mine. As a matter of fact, the last time I saw her, Brandon,
Yes.
she was on the tipping point of my tip and back over at Fox Sports 1380, and I had her trying some different types of foods.
See what that is? That's our buddy Coach Dimmel, I think, isn't it?
Is it?
It looks like him. I mean, my eyes are kind of like, you know, I don't have the kind of eyes I used to, but it was sure. If I had to bet $1 to a donut, I'd say it's Coach Dimmel.
That is him.
It is him, right?
Yeah.
Should I go try
Yeah.
and get him on?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. Why not, right? Hey, Coach, I know you're having dinner.
I'm gonna do my best. I'll be right back. I'm gonna try and work my.
Look at this.
See, I'm a sticker.
You are a sticker. I don't know what that means. Daver, can you help me out with that? Do you know what a sticker is?
No, but if I exercise too hard, it could be close to a side sticker.
Ah, there we go, right? Like you get a little cramp, you haven't drank enough water.
Right.
I don't know. Hey, we'll see what it is. Brandon, the nice man Cohen over there, already talking to. I feel like I should do play-by-play, right? Do it full on the Crocodile Hunter style. Crikey, our guy, Brandon the Iceman Coat. He has went and approached the one and only head coach of the UTEP football Miners, Dana DeMille. Brandon, I let Brandon do this because I wasn't going to be the one to interrupt somebody's meal. But, I mean, hey, Brandon's over there trying to do his thing. He's doing a phenomenal job. I think it looks like right now we've got a 99% chance that he's getting shot down because Dana DeMille has not moved. His demeanor has changed and went from a nice big smile to a stern look on his face. I think Brandon needs to learn how to take the hint and walk away. I would walk away now, Brandon, if I shall. Once again, we're back out here in the wild, and it looks like a Dana DeMille might snap at a Brandon cone. He might eat himself an ice cream cone is what it looks like right now. crikey, it's not looking good for our guy. We threw him right into the gator pit, and he's having a hard time. He's not surviving this one. David, I don't think he's surviving it.
About the only thing more obnoxious we could pull is for somebody to take a smartphone over and to connect to your website as if it were a live broadcast. Then he would really feel intruded upon.
I would never again get an invitation to anything at UTEP if that were to happen. Just go over there with a bunch of cameras. Dana. How's the team looking this year? I know it's March 4th, but how's the team looking this year? Nope, you got shot down. I want to see how red and how I've always wondered this with Brandon, if there's any level of shame. So I want to see if he comes up red or if he's like smiling or like how any of this looks.
Chutzpah is an important part of Jewish journalism, just so you know.
Chutzpah. Can you explain to me what chutzpah
Nerve.
is? Oh my
the
God.
same kind of nerve that one of our colleagues, Steve Kaplowitz, has when he tried to interview Coach Floyd in a very famous public debacle.
Okay. David, I just saw right now Dana DeMille has stood up. I believe he's walking over this way.
Oh, my goodness. Let me move out of the seat. Thank you.
Okay, let's move the mic over this way. We will try. We're doing this on the fly because we're professionals.
And for the new brave new world of podcasting, this is what we would call real radio.
Yeah, exactly, right? This is what it must feel like to be on Radio Row. As we're doing the show live here on the show, we got Fire and Ice. Brandon the Iceman Cohn has come back. Let me shake hands real quick. Coach, thank you so much. Thank you. Go ahead.
He's a busy man, so I told him we'd just have him in a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Just to say hi.
I believe this is our first interaction, Coach.
Yes.
And I apologize for sending Brandon down there like a crazy person.
Brandon's never afraid to. He's not shy.
No, that's why I sent him. I would have gone down there and been like, no, I'm not asking somebody a question at all. I'd have just walked right on by, taken my L, and came back up. Yeah.
I couldn't resist. I saw my buddy, Coach Dimmel, and I'm like, hey, how you been? I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays.
Yeah, it's great. It's good to be here with you guys. Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Just
We
get
are.
a
We
little,
are.
little closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, Coach, what I wanted to ask is, I guess the question that's on everyone's mind, right? Like, we're already done with the NFL. Football season's done. We got the combine. We got all that stuff coming up. I'm waiting for spring football because, as we know, UTEP Miners are king whenever it comes to sports here in El Paso. What can we expect this year?
Well, we had our first practice on Monday. We got 25 new players that are in the program in the spring, which is the most I've ever had come in at one time during spring. And we had some really good practices this week. I was just telling Brandon that they're the nicest kids and they're doing really well in school, and that usually equates to winning. And we know they're talented too, as we've been able to see them for the last 3 practices. And so it's been a really good first week to spring ball, and hopefully next week we're going to get some really good weather for the practices because it's a little cold this week.
How excited do you get whenever spring ball is right around the corner? Because your season ends in December or so. Lucky if you get it into January where you're playing for a national championship, right? But then you got that lull of no football. And this is your lifeblood. How do you get whenever you're like, okay, it's March, it's time to go?
Yeah, it never ends with recruiting, with us. But I know how the fan is because I've run into people in the supermarkets when I'm out, and they'll say, "Coach, we just missed football. Now that the Super Bowl's over, what are we going to do with our weekends?" Because there's so many people that's their main sport. You know what I mean? In El Paso, especially, so many people love the sport of football. So once college is over, once the NFL is over, everybody's have these open weekends. I'm a big promoter of the USFL and the XFL because my son Winston played and was drafted in both the leagues. And so big proponent of those leagues. It's really good football. So that helps people get their fix. But everybody loves college football. And so we're excited about where we stand right now. Going to have a good week next week, hopefully.
And people are happy what you're doing with the program. A couple of years ago, a bowl game appearance. Last year, almost another bowl game appearance. Clearly things going in the right direction for you guys, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. I feel like, last year we didn't get to the bowl game, but we sure had a chance. I had my Speedo picked out for Hawaii, when we won that game. And I had told Mr. Center that I was going to maybe wear it for the first game since I couldn't wear it to the bowl game and see if that would help ticket sales. But we decided it probably wouldn't, so we're not going to do
Imagine Tipton in a Speedo. That'd be hilarious.
Well, what I was going to say is the three of us, we get matching,
that
picks
would be
up
beautiful.
Speedos. I'm good with it.
I don't think anybody would come to the game.
Oh, yeah. They probably avoid us like the plague, right, Coach?
I mean, Ariana's running away from us right now. We just brought that up. She's like, I'm running out of here as fast as possible.
That's horrible. horrible.
We appreciate you, Coach. I know you're about to have a little nosh with your wife here, and I
Yeah.
just saw you down there. I had to come say hello and see if you want to come on.
It's
for a
great
minute,
to
buddy.
see you, Brandon. We haven't seen each other enough. So
Yeah,
good
miss you,
seeing
buddy.
you again. I miss you too.
Certainly
Good
looking
man.
forward to seeing what you have coming up next year. I know you guys are going to keep doing great things, and you're really building a great program here, Coach.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you guys having me on here, and we'll see you guys sooner, hopefully, than the last time.
Sounds good, Coach.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you for your
Thank
time,
you so
Coach.
much.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was great. Little pub for the program.
Yeah, we're ready,
Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah. Thank you.
Coach.
Thanks, buddy.
guys.
Just slap Brandon around next time.
Hey, Coach, $2 pizzas today.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, enjoy yourself, okay?
Chili donut, especially when I'm with
See you later, buddy. Take care. See ya. I knew you had me on the show for a reason.
There we go, right? Brandon, the guest booker of all guest bookers.
That's me.
That was awesome, Brandon. Thank you.
Try, my
Thank you.
friend, you know.
I'm just looking though because Julie follows me on Twitter and everything, and like she'll like retweet things that I put out there. I'm just looking at her over there. She's got to be fuming.
Probably.
Gotta be fuming.
Probably,
But I mean,
man.
she knows. Like, well, she's a coach's wife. She knows how this goes.
Sure.
She's gotta have her expectations to be like, yeah, people are gonna come up and talk to him all the time.
Yeah, and he's like ordering, he's telling her what to get, and he's like, come on real briefly. I'm like, all right, I promise, like, give me 3 minutes. That's it, because I know you're trying to get a grease, and I don't want to mess with that. A man's got to eat,
Oh, I mean, we know that better than anybody else. We know
right.
So once again, before we did that, and that was great to see UTEP football coach Dana DeMille joining us here on Fire and Ice. Union Draft House, 730 Sunland Park Drive, in the parking lot of Sunland Park Mall, west side of El Paso. The 100 Beer Challenge, $2 build your own pizza. David's already partaken in that as well. They got the cauliflower wings that are apparently amazing, and we got to have ourselves some pretty amazing food the other day as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We were invited by Angela Olivas, who's been a friend of the show, friend of ours for a long time, to go out to the Southwest University ballpark at the unveiling of the El Paso Locomotive and El Paso Chihuahua's new food menu that they're going to have at the stadium for their respective games. What was the thing that you took a bite of that just blew your mind?
Well, there was two things. I'm going to go ahead and point out that I like the turkey leg, and they're bringing back a turkey leg. I think the last time they said they had it was 2019, but that sauce they had with it was really phenomenal. And then the buffalo chicken fries were actually really good because they had a little jalapeno, obviously the queso, the buffalo chicken. I thought that was also excellent. I think we're looking forward to those this upcoming year for the Locomotive and Chihuahuas. And, of course, the Cantina-style nachos. You know me, I'm a sucker for nachos. It had that pulled pork and all that good stuff. And yeah, I mean, what about you? Oh, wait a minute. What about the sundae?
That's why I was waiting for you to get there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, they have like a brownie sundae in a little cup, and then they also have a churro sundae. That churro sundae was unbelievable, man. Oh, was that good? Holy moly.
I think I like that one so much better than I like the brownie one. The brownie one was amazing. It was basically a brownie a la mode and
pretty much,
right?
Yeah.
But this churro sundae, where like they had the 3 sticks of churro sticking out, you can like dip it into the vanilla ice cream,
that was good,
and then bring it up, and it's got like all the sprinkles and everything on it. That was just absolutely phenomenal. It was a delicious meal. I'm with you on the turkey leg, but I'm a big old fan of turkey legs. My one question that I have is, Brandon, I don't know if I've ever eaten a turkey leg at a stadium.
I could see that. You look like a barbarian.
I know, you just
with your beard.
Right.
It's all over your beard. Imagine that, huh?
I feel like there would be camera shots of me just going to town on this huge
Look at
turkey
Mike
leg.
Tipton holding the turkey leg. Imagine you and I both holding turkey legs.
A fat guy with a beard holding a turkey leg and a beer in his hand. On the other one, turkey leg in one hand, the biggest beer possible in the other hand. Because that would be me. I would be the one guy to get caught on the camera angle that way. And as we know, there's always those embarrassing camera angles that people have. I also feel like on TV, they try to find the person that's doing something embarrassing.
Probably, and that would
Right.
be you and I, two morons, right?
Yeah.
Holding turkey legs. I mean, that's but it's certainly. I admittedly I have never ordered a turkey leg at like a stadium. I mean, I like turkey legs. I'll eat them. But I'm also a member of the whole. I like the way they had little pieces cut up, and they
Yeah.
had that sauce. That was amazing. They had new hot dogs and new hamburgers for the 10-year anniversary too. What'd you think of those?
The hamburgers I thought were absolutely amazing. I know one of them. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I do got the pictures. I'll post those up in a little bit on the website that we have under construction right now as well. But I'm looking at some of the food, the hot dogs. I'm a hot dog dude, man.
Me too.
I love going to the ballpark. I feel like any stadium you go to, you got to have a hot dog.
Of course, it's a baseball food.
Yesterday
man.
at a hockey game, I'm eating a hot dog.
Yeah.
Yes, basketball games with UTEP, I'll eat a hot dog.
Sure.
Football game, I'll eat a hot dog. It doesn't have to be baseball. I just love eating hot dog. Maybe it says a lot about me, putting phallic shaped things in my mouth. But as we continue talking about the foods and stuff like that they've got at the stadium, just the way that they had the toppings on these hot dogs, the presentation that they had on the size of these burgers. Most of the time you go to a stadium, you get normal sized little itty bitty burger, right?
Yeah.
These were enormous,
Huge. One of them was a jalapeno popper burger, which looks really good. Last year they had debuted a chili relleno burger, but that jalapeno popper looks great. They also have another one that has ham, cheese, and then it has a Nathan's hot dog on it. So to me, that's the combo. There's a place in LA I used to go to that had a combo hot dog hamburger on the same bun. Unbelievable. And then the new hot dogs, all Nathan's hot dogs, as far as I know, bacon wrapped, I believe. One of them had carnitas on it. The other one had guacamole and corn and salsa. So yeah, this new grease, man, they got coming out this year for the 10-year anniversary for the Chihuahuas and 5-year anniversary for the Locomotive. It's going to be phenomenal. It really is. We're going to go eat, you and I, over there.
Yeah, Brandon's already talking about getting season tickets, trying to do everything he can, working on all the stuff that we can to be at the stadium as much as possible. Have you been to a Locomotive game?
I have not. No.
I've been to one, but it was in the middle of the pandemic where there were no fans, and that was eerie and creepy, right? I don't know how many people went to stadiums or got to experience a full stadium, or not even a completely empty stadium with a game going on.
Yeah.
That's an eerie feeling, man.
It is. I bet. And I didn't. I don't remember. I don't think I went to any games during the pandemic. Well, I went maybe high school games, but yeah, it was a strange thing, especially when ultimately, you're going to a soccer game. People are a little crazy, right? They're going nuts, right? If fans aren't there, then it's not the same experience. It wasn't the same experience for any games in general.
Yeah. So for me, I'm I got to go to an actual game, be there with the eighth notch. I would like to make the march from Whiskey Blonde all the way down to the stadium, and then just enjoy all that amazing stadium food that we have here with the Locomotive and the Chihuahuas as well. I wanted to get to this real quick, Brandon. I know that we've kept it a lot of El Paso-centric today, which also feels kind of cool to me because I don't get to talk a lot about El Paso, right? But I wanted to talk about LeBron James and the LA Lakers. And this popped into my mind a little bit earlier in the week whenever we got the news that LeBron's going to be out, quote unquote, indefinitely. Winds up being 3 to 6 weeks that he's going to be out due to a foot injury, something happening in his foot. My question to you, Brandon, is whenever we look at people like Jordan, whenever we look at people like Kobe Bryant, like Shaq, it felt like they always made the people around them better. And no matter what happened, they were able to do what it took to get the team and build the team up. And it feels like with LeBron James, and David must be interested on this one because he dropped his pizza and was like, I'm coming in, guys. I'm coming in hot.
During NFL, we talked about which injury was the most serious, a shoulder injury or an ankle injury. Now I'm curious, with LeBron's injury, you're saying that being out has more an effect on the team just because his presence is not there.
I am not saying that at all. What I am saying is...
Well, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. See, because I thought of that, right? If LeBron's out, then you have a huge gap, right? When Jordan was out, there was a huge gap in the performance of the team. Same thing with Shaq, same thing with Kobe, same thing with Dwayne Wade, et cetera, right? Prime LeBron with Miami, yeah, there was a obvious drop. But it seems like the Lakers are still bad with or without LeBron. And I'm wondering here, looking at this, they just brought in a ton of players. Now it's the other way around. I think the other players are making LeBron look great, which sounds like sacrilege.
That's interesting, too, because that's the exact opposite of what we were always accustomed to. And, again, it certainly could be something to do with his age. And, I mean, the fact that he's more injury prone than ever. And the point is that as good as LeBron is, because LeBron's pretty good. Let's not kid ourselves. Even at his ripe old age is where he's at right now. But again, is this a situation where he needs that supporting cast? And certainly some of the newcomers that have been there have proven that without them, then LeBron's not nearly going to be as good, perhaps. And that's worth mentioning, because it's not always been the case.
No.
He's carried the team in the past.
Yeah, and I kind of started thinking about this with basketball, because we're looking at something that's amazing right now going on in the NBA with Nikola Jokic, right? Back-to-back MVPs. Staring down the barrel of being the first three consecutive MVPs since Larry Bird in the mid-'80s. Staring that right in the barrel, and people are saying, well, we can't give it to him because we can't give out three-time MVPs. Nikola Jokic isn't a Larry Bird type of player. But this just came into my mind because you're looking at how well the Nuggets have been over the last 3 or 4 years. Right? They've been a contender. They've been to a Western Conference Finals. They've been a team that everyone's talking about. They're still the team right now with the best record in the NBA.
Absolutely.
They could be considered the best team in the NBA.
I don't see.
Nikola Jokic has never played with an all-star.
No.
Nikola Jokic has never played with a all-defensive team player or an all-offensive team player. He is literally the team.
He is.
And he makes everything around him better, where you look at a guy like LeBron, who has been just surrounded by all-star after all-star after all-star, and it kind of makes you appreciate what Nikola Jokic is doing right now. And I get it. He's not Larry Bird. He's not Jordan. He's not even LeBron James.
He's a great player for nowadays.
And he's only 27.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of
gas.
Insane. I mean, he's amazing. He's way under, in his prime. Speaking of which, by the way, are you going to be in San Antonio on Friday night?
I will.
Okay, so that's who San Antonio is hosting in Denver.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
We can get the Nuggets and the Spurs.
That's cool, right? So
I like
you're probably
that,
going to go?
I'm gonna do everything I can to go to that
I was
game.
going to say it could cost a few more shekels because of the whole Jokic thing, but I would go.
The Spurs have the worst record in the NBA.
If I'm going, I'm taking the family for nosebleed seats.
I am not used to this. Like, as a Spurs fan, I've been spoiled.
You got to suck every once in a blue moon.
You're going for the Bob Ewicker experience.
Oh,
He missed the tag.
I'm going for whatever.
Hey, send me some pics, man. That's gonna be a cool game to be at.
I will. I would like to go. So one of my goals, like in the future, is to go to like every NBA arena.
Oh yeah.
I've only been to Houston. I watched the Rockets and the Nets in 2006. So when the Nets had Vince Carter and Richard Jefferson, they were a really good team. Rockets had Yao Ming, Stevie Franchise. That's an awesome team. And then the next game was a back-to-back. I saw the Rockets and the Spurs, right, which is a great time. Seen some WNBA games down in San Antonio. Been to a bunch of Spurs games as well. The one that always stuck out to me, the last Spurs game I went to, Chris Bosh and Tim Duncan were still on the teams, the Heat and the Spurs, right?
Yeah.
Last second, Jericho's crying his mind out. He was perfectly fine the entire game. Perfectly fine. Come down to the last minute, right? Tie game. Jericho's screaming his head off because everyone's getting mad and like he's about to shit himself. Like he's just not having a good old time. Goes timeout. Miami gets the ball. 2 seconds left. Chris Bosh right over the extended hand of Tim Duncan, and we were at basically the rim level in the stands, right? And I'm just watching this ball, and I know what's about to happen because I've seen a lot of basketball. Straight into the damn hole. Miami wins, and the crowd just gets silent.
Yeah.
And all you hear is Jericho go, ah.
Oh, shit.
And it just stopped. And you talk about a heartbreaking loss. I was like, not only did I have to listen to the baby crying, I don't even get the win.
It's a double edge. It's the double screw you for crying out loud.
It was. It was really bad. But like it was so weird because he went through the whole game. And like this was a close. There was never a point where it was more than like 5 points. He goes through this whole game perfectly fine. And just the last minute, he's like, yeah, I'm done with this.
That's funny. That is funny. Well, tell you what, I think he's a little older now. Hopefully he'll enjoy the experience.
It'll wind up being both of them. It'll be him and Jinder.
I was going to say,
like, look, we're ready to
bring
go.
their iPads.
Yeah, we'll say, right? They got to have all the tablets.
They'll be busy, right?
Hey, that's what it should be. You and I, whenever we were kids, man, we would have just loved to be at the stadium.
Oh, God. Are you kidding?
We get to be as loud as possible.
Absolutely, man. Eat a bunch of garbage.
Oh, well.
That was fun. Those were the days.
Yeah. I never ate garbage until I became an adult.
Yeah.
So I got out of the military and was like, hey, you know what? I get to eat my own. I get to buy my own beer.
Oh my
awesome,
God, man. You're a Viva. You're my buddy. That's funny.
It's the way it should be.
You're going to have a good time.
Yes. All right, everybody. So I want to let you know that because we are on spring break, we are not going to have a show next week. We are not going to have a show the following week as well. So 2 weeks, fire and ice list. I hope you can actually, survive that. I know it'll be difficult for people to not get to see our face, but at least we can leave them, Brandon, with the lasting mental image of you, myself, and Dana DeMille in matching Speedos.
That's awesome. I'm so glad we got him on. Got to have him on. That worked out well, huh?
Yeah, it worked out fantastic.
That's cool.
I'm all about it. We should try to see however many more people. Maybe we should just randomly go grab people.
Why not?
I see you're wearing a jersey. Let's
that was
talk
a good.
sports.
Actually, I'm wearing my UTEP shirt, which is funny, ironically enough today. But that was a good shtick, huh?
I'm glad I'm not wearing my new. Let's talk about
Even
that.
Dave Letterman couldn't have outdone this. Dave would have just gone to somebody on the street. You got UTEP football.
That was great.
Look at that.
I was like, "Is that Dana Dimmel?" You're like, "I can't tell." I'm like, "My eyes aren't as good as they used to." But shut up, gun. It is.
Real quick, Brandon.
Yeah.
The billboards. Have you seen this? New Mexico State puts up a billboard right by UTEP, says you'll look really good in crimson.
Yeah.
UTEP buys the billboard after that. It says they got a picture of a woman. She's got the crimson shirt on. She's got a behind her back the pickup, right? That says choose the school, not the color. What do you think of the dueling billboards that we got going on between UTEP and NMSU?
I mean, it's UTEP and NMSU. It's our rivalry in this part of the country. I love it. They should be breaking each. Huh?
It's all we have.
They should be breaking each other's balls. That's what rivalries are all about, right?
I'm all about this too. I want to see more of it. I got to see more of it. I need more of it. Inject it into my veins. Create the hate, because that's what makes these games great, right?
You and
we
me
no
both.
longer have that anymore. We no longer have the hate in sports.
Yep, absolutely. You need the hate. That's what rivalries are all about, is hating one another with a passion.
I think I just became the oldest person on the show because I was going to be like, back in my day, we never
Back
hugged
in my
after a
day,
game.
Sonny, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and we were doing hieroglyphics.
Like the Dana Carvey character from the old Saturday Night Live, and I liked it.
Love our buddy. That's a good one.
I do too, but I have no idea what he's referencing.
I don't either, but that's okay.
Oh, never mind. Dana Carvey did this character
Carvey,
about what it was
Wayne's
like
World.
growing
Remember
up in the
Wayne's
old days.
Wayne's World party on. Okay. Now I'm dating myself. All right. That's it.
What a way to end the show. I'm so glad. Daver, I appreciate it. I always love whenever you do that stuff.
You're our buddy.
100%. I got nothing but love for you. Brandon, I got nothing but love for you.
Back at you, my brother.
Everybody, we will see you all in a couple of weeks in matching Speedos.